Okay, everybody, let's take a look at natural gas. Now, there's two different products you could trade. The upper left-hand corner, this is QG. That's the E-mini natural gas. Okay, so obviously the contract's going to be a little bit cheaper. Or you could trade NG, which is the big contracts. Okay, so it all depends on your account size and how much you want to commit margin-wise. Okay, the QGs are, they're not, well, it depends on your account size, but they're $33.68.75 per contract. So a little bit more pricey than probably some of the, definitely more pricey than the E-micros, because this is an E-mini. Okay, let's take a look and see what we got going on here. Where do I think this is going? So natural gas has been on an absolute tear. The thing has been just ripping. I mean, all the way back even since May. Look at this thing. Just absolutely ripping. I don't think we've seen these prices in, I don't know, forever and a day. Huge. So I noticed we have a symmetrical triangle going on. So that's the first thing I noticed. Okay. And, you know, it's hard to say which way it's going to break, because a lot of times symmetrical triangles are kind of 50-50 which way they're going to break. You know, you'll hear people say, well, it came from below, so it's going to break down below. Okay, that doesn't always happen. Okay, a lot of times you'll get a breakout failure. It'll break back, let's say like this, it breaks low below the triangle, but then it'll fail and actually go above. I've seen that happen. That's actually more common than people realize. So I'm not sure which way this is going to break, okay? You know, if you had to flip a coin, it would break to the low side. But like I said, you know, that's not very reliable. But what is fairly reliable is the return to the 50. And now here's the 50-day moving average, because remember, we're on the daily chart here, okay? And the triangle's getting smaller and smaller, right? At first you had this massive oscillation, then a smaller one, and now what? A little tiny one, okay? So it's run out of room, right? The oscillations run out of room, right? That amplitude, the height of the waves are getting smaller, right? And smaller, and eventually it's going to run out of room and either break this way or that way, okay? So, but for right now, you know, based on what I'm seeing in this chart and the indicators, even look at all this divergence flags, if you will, these dots that I put in to pick up divergence. Look at all these clustered like a massive storm. Well, sure enough, whenever you see this kind of warning, you almost always get a pullback in price. This was a pretty big pullback from $6.67 all the way back to $5. That is huge. That's not a pullback. That's almost a correction. That's a big move, okay? But so we're beginning to see, you know, just a few little dots showing up here, but nothing significant far as divergence is going on, not like back here, okay? But what is noticeable is how the indicators have come down, okay? Look at how they've come down on the average, right? So this whole move is getting weaker and weaker and weaker, okay? Long term, the MACD's done one of these deals. We're going to ignore the amplitude color coding because it's not really working for natural gas because it's just been absolutely on fire. So, you know, it's blowing out the color coding. But we can still eyeball this, and we can definitely say historically, at least for the last several months, that the amplitude is fairly low, right? What am I talking about? For those that don't know, amplitude is the distance between the 50 and the bottom of the candlestick. Okay. So the amplitude is really, really small here. All right. So, you know, normally we would say that natural gas is going to pull back and touch this 50. Okay, it's going to pull back and touch it, but there's not a whole lot of room. We're at 564, and the simple moving average is about 530. All right, so not a whole lot of room between 564 and 530, but there's still a little bit of room. It may come down and touch this 50, and it may not. But more than likely, if we had to flip a coin, it probably is going to continue to make its way down to this 50 on the daily chart. Okay. All right, let's switch over to the hourly and see what's going on there. So here on the hourly, it's riding right along the 50 for this last 12-hour period for this session, this daily session goes from there to there. Okay, so overnight it worked its way down and touched the 50. So are we going to get a bounce up like this away from the hourly 50? Remember, this is an hourly chart. Is it going to bounce up and move away from the 50? Because right now, it kind of found support a little bit back here on Wednesday, and now it's bumped up against the 50-hour and looks like it's trying to fight through it. Okay, you can see that the let's take a look at this MACD. Right on the MACD is right on the 0 line. It's trying to go up. Okay. So that's kind of interesting. Looks like the color coding on the amplitude is a little bit better, at least in the hourly chart. But look how far away it got from there, and it returned back to the 50, right? Even when it's below the 50, like way back here on last Sunday, look how far away natural gas got away from the 50-hour moving average. Got really far away. Okay, started to track back up, but since it was so far away, it couldn't reach the 50, right? It's going to come up a little ways, kind of exhaust. The indicators kind of get exhausted on their way up. See that? Comes back down. Big strong move down, right? Actually touches that it's symmetrical triangle on the daily. That's that line right there. Touches it, comes all the way back up, and this is a big tell that it didn't get resistance this time. See, we kind of have resistance there, a hint of resistance there, hint of resistance there. Okay, this time, no such thing. Blasted right through it. Okay, I think overall, based on what we saw on the daily, because remember on the daily, you've got the 50 down here, and you got a couple candlesticks trying to make their way down to the 50 on the daily, right? That'd be the daily chart, and this would be the 50-day moving average. And right now it's sitting there like that, trying to get a red candlestick going on the daily, trying to make its way down the 50. So if I had to give it my best guess here, I think it's going to break below this 50-hour, okay? So that's useful information. I'd wait for it to break. If you're going to trade the natural gas and you want to trade it, I'd look at the hourly. If it breaks below this hourly and gives you, like, let's say, I don't know, tonight even or tomorrow, whatever it's going to do through the night, if it breaks through it, okay, you can take a short side trade once you get some decent movement below that 50-hour moving average, okay? Just be aware on the daily. Let's finish up this video going back to the daily. Just be aware that on the daily chart, there's not a whole lot of room down to this 50, because remember, we're at 565, at least right now, and the futures market's going to close here like in a half an hour, so this is probably it for the day, unless we get a big move. So not a whole lot of room between 565 and 529, which is the 50-day moving average. So you got to be careful there. Got to be a little careful, okay? If you want to be a little more patient and not be as aggressive, I'd wait until another day maybe or two, and let's see what it does when it comes down to this 50. Does it touch it and go back up? Then you might get a day or two out of that, but man, this is such a small wave, a little 4-day wave. There's probably, I'm not going to give percentages because we're just going to let the market tell us what the natural gas market tell us what it wants to do. But if it comes down and touches and goes up, then there's a real high chance it's going to break out to the upside, because this is almost no room. The chance would be high to break up the upside. It's hard to say with these symmetrical triangles are really tricky. I don't like to predict which way it's going to go in symmetrical triangles, okay? So I would wait and be patient to see what it does off this 50 right here, guys. I'd be really patient and wait to see what it does off that 50 before I trade it. If it breaks through, that's great. You can go short. If it bounces, I think you're okay for a day or two at least to trade it long and see what it does off the top of that, get to the top of the triangle, okay? All right, guys and gals, that's my take on natural gas. Please subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to click that little bell to be notified of all the videos as I put them out. Okay? Talk to you all real soon again next time.